let me tell you something. There is a kind of silence that speaks louder than screams. When a man sees you've moved on peacefully, he doesn't just see your absence, he feels your growth. When a man realizes he no longer has emotional control over you, it strikes a chord deep within him. In the beginning, it was easy to assume that he held power over your feelings, that he could control your heart, your thoughts, your attention. Maybe it was intentional, maybe not, but there was a certain comfort in the idea that he could always rely on your presence, your understanding, your willingness to give. He believed, in some quiet corner of his mind, that you would always be there waiting, forgiving, perhaps even chasing after him if things fell apart. But when you move on, when you find the strength to truly let go and reclaim your peace, it shatters the illusion he once had. This is the moment that many men are unprepared for, because the truth is, no one ever truly expects to be on the other side of it. There's a raw realization that hits him like a wave. He no longer has access to your emotions in the way he once did. Now, this realization doesn't always come instantly. It might take days, weeks, or even months for him to grasp the full extent of what's happening. You're not just out of sight, you're out of reach. And the thing that will haunt him the most is that this change, this distance, is something that was entirely within your control. You've chosen peace over chaos, growth over stagnation, and healing over holding on. This loss of emotional control can create a mixture of emotions in him: confusion, frustration, even anger. For some men, it's a deep shock because, subconsciously, they were counting on you to hold onto the old dynamic, even if it was unhealthy or unfulfilling. The reason it's so difficult for him to process is because your emotional autonomy was something he took for granted. He believed that, no matter how things unfolded, you would always be there to fill the gaps in his life, to make sense of his confusion, or to be a safe harbor when he didn't know where to turn. But now, you've closed that door, not out of malice, but out of love for yourself, and that makes all the difference. When you find your emotional freedom, it's not about punishing him or making him feel small. It's about realizing that you deserve to feel whole and valued without the dependency on someone else's validation. It's a form of self-respect that can be difficult for him to accept, because it forces him to face the consequences of his actions. No longer can he reach out and pull you back into the emotional dynamic that once worked for him. He can no longer assume that you'll always be there to make him feel better about his decisions or lack of them. In this moment, he's faced with the truth that he can't control your heart anymore. You control it, and that, for him, is both freeing and terrifying. This shift in power doesn't always come from overt actions or confrontations. Sometimes, it's the simple act of stepping away, peacefully without drama, that is most effective. The quiet strength you exhibit as you let go is enough to send a message. It's in the way you carry yourself after the breakup or the distance, how you heal without needing to broadcast it to the world. It's in how you rise above the old hurt and move forward, focusing on yourself and your growth without looking back. And the more you do this, the more difficult it becomes for him to come to terms with the fact that you've emotionally detached yourself from him. The challenge for him is that it isn't just that you're gone, it's that you're thriving without him. There's no longing in your eyes, there's no regret hanging on your lips, there's no anger in your words. Instead, there's a calm confidence, a quiet assurance that you don't need him to validate your worth. This sense of emotional detachment isn't about indifference, but rather about understanding that your happiness, your peace, and your growth are not dependent on anyone else's presence in your life. And that realization, that you've let go with grace, with dignity, and with a sense of self, worth that doesn't rely on him, is the moment when the emotional power shift truly lands. It's when he sees that no matter how hard he tries to pull you back, he can no longer do it. You've built your emotional independence, and it's not a weakness, it's a strength. For many men, this moment forces them to confront the truth. They were never the center of your universe. You were the center of your own, and that's something that will stay with them for a long time. It's a feeling that lingers long after the relationship ends. Because in the end, the hardest thing to bear is the knowledge that they didn't lose you just because you left. They lost you because they never truly appreciated you while they had you. But even in that realization, there's a certain beauty, because by moving on peacefully, you've given him the chance to reflect. You've shown him what true emotional strength looks like, and in the process, you've helped him recognize something about himself. In the end, moving on in peace doesn't just free you. It teaches him that the one thing he took for granted is the very thing that will be his greatest lesson. When a man begins to see that you've moved on peacefully, he is forced to confront a painful reality, one that he likely never anticipated. In the quiet aftermath of a relationship, the silence can be deafening. The noise of arguments, misunderstandings, and old hurts fades away, and all that remains is an uncomfortable stillness. That stillness is where reflection begins, and for him, it often starts with regret. Regret is a powerful emotion, one that can swallow a man whole if left unchecked. It creeps into his thoughts during quiet moments, when he's alone with himself, and it forces him to relive the moments he took for granted. He begins to wonder where things went wrong, and with that thought comes another, the realization that he might have been the one who let it slip away. The truth begins to settle in, and for many men, this is a harsh pill to swallow. He starts to recognize that his own actions, or lack of actions, played a significant role in the disintegration of the relationship. In the past, he may have been so wrapped up in his own feelings, his own priorities, or his own frustrations that he failed to notice the cracks forming between the two of you. He may have assumed that you would always be there, forgiving him, understanding his mistakes, waiting for him to get it right. But now, seeing you stand strong and independent, it's as though the lens he once viewed the relationship through has been shattered. He starts to see the subtle signs of neglect, the missed opportunities to connect, and the ways in which he took you for granted. He remembers the things he should have said, the moments he should have been present, and the love he should have given. And with that realization comes the heavy weight of regret. Regret doesn't just dwell in the mind, it seeps into the soul. It gnaws at him, especially when he sees that you've moved on with such grace and peace. There's no bitterness in your eyes, no anger in your voice. You haven't sought revenge or tried to make him feel the pain he caused you. Instead, you've focused on your own growth. You've put yourself first, healed your wounds, and built a life that's yours alone. This is where the sting of regret becomes most powerful, because in his mind, he knows that he could have been part of that growth. But his actions, or inactions, deprived him of the chance to experience the peace that you now carry with you. The regret also brings with it a sense of loss, but it's not the type of loss that's immediately obvious. It's not about missing the person you were when you were together. It's about missing the person he now sees you becoming. He watches you move forward, not out of spite, but out of a sense of inner peace and strength that he didn't recognize when he had the chance, and that realization, that you are thriving without him, sends a jolt of awareness through him. He begins to understand that your happiness was never fully dependent on him. You were always capable of finding your own way. This revelation can be both humbling and painful, especially for a man who may have once seen himself as the center of your emotional universe. What makes this regret even more profound is that often it comes too late. By the time he realizes the depth of what he's lost, you're already beyond the point of needing validation from him. You've found your own way. Your life is no longer tied to his decisions, his moods, or his presence. You've learned to stand on your own 2 feet, and in doing so, you've achieved a level of emotional independence that he may never have expected. He can no longer play the role he once did. The protector, the fixer, or even the one who always had the final say in the dynamics of the relationship. At this point, the regret he feels is not just about losing you, it's about losing the opportunity to be part of your growth. He sees you evolving, becoming the person you always had the potential to be, and it's painful for him because he can't claim any credit for it. He wasn't there to support you when you needed it most. He wasn't there to witness your transformation, to be a part of the triumphs and challenges you faced. and in his heart, he knows that this is something he will never be able to change. But here's the thing. This regret, as deep and as consuming as it may be, is a necessary part of his own journey. It's a catalyst for growth, just as your peace and strength have been catalysts for yours. For many men, it takes this kind of wake-up call, the quiet aftermath of losing someone who was once central to their world, to begin to truly understand the value of what they had. They realize that love is not something to be taken for granted, that relationships require effort, presence, and emotional investment. And most importantly, they begin to understand that true connection comes not from control, but from mutual respect, understanding, and care. The reality is that regret is often the price we pay for not appreciating what we had until it's gone. And for him, watching you move on with peace is the mirror that forces him to see the truth. The regret he feels is a painful reminder that he had the opportunity to nurture something beautiful, but he let it slip through his fingers. It's a lesson, hard as it may be, that he will carry with him. And perhaps in time, it will become the catalyst for him to be better, not just in relationships, but in life. When you choose to move on with peace, you not only transform your own life, but you send out a powerful message to everyone who's watching, especially to the man who once held a place in your heart. Your inner peace becomes an undeniable force, louder than any words or actions could ever be. It's the kind of strength that resonates deeply, not because you seek attention or validation, but because you've found something more important. You've found yourself. In a world where emotions often lead to drama, conflict, or revenge, choosing peace can be one of the most profound decisions you ever make. It's easy to think that in order to get closure, you need to shout your pain from the rooftops, or to make the other person feel the hurt they've caused you. It's easy to believe that vengeance or anger will somehow right the wrongs done to you. But real power comes from stepping away with grace, healing without bitterness, and rising above the noise. This peaceful response, though quiet, is louder and more impactful than any fight could ever be. Your peace becomes the loudest thing in the room, not because you're trying to prove anything to anyone, but because it radiates from within you. When someone sees that you've moved on, not with resentment but with calm assurance, they're forced to reckon with something they may not have expected. The truth that they no longer have the ability to disrupt your peace. In this moment, the dynamic shifts entirely. You no longer need their apology to feel whole. You no longer need their acknowledgement to validate your worth. You've realized that peace comes from within, not from someone else's actions or words. This transformation is not just emotional, it's deeply personal. Moving on peacefully doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending that the past didn't hurt. It means acknowledging the pain, accepting it as part of your journey, and then choosing to move forward. It's an act of self-respect, of self-love, and of personal growth. It's recognizing that you have the power to control how you feel, how you react, and how you move forward from the past, and that in itself is a monumental shift. For the man who once held a central place in your life, this change can be a hard pill to swallow. He's used to the old dynamic. Maybe he expected you to always seek his forgiveness, or to wait for him to come back, or to give him one more chance. He may have even assumed that, no matter what happened, you would always be the one to bend, to sacrifice, to put in the effort to make things right. But when he sees you no longer waiting, no longer reaching out, and no longer needing anything from him, it shakes him to the core. He realizes that he can no longer control the narrative. The story of your relationship is no longer something he has a say in, and that realization stirs up a mixture of emotions, surprise, regret, confusion, and sometimes even fear. Your peaceful move forward signals strength, not weakness. It's not about holding on to resentment, but about choosing to prioritize your own well-being. It's about knowing that your happiness and your peace are your responsibility, and not relying on someone else to provide them for you. For the man who sees this, it's a moment of reckoning. He may not fully understand it at first, and he may even try to justify his actions or find reasons why you should still be there waiting for him. But deep down, he knows that your peace isn't something that can be easily broken. It's something you've built for yourself, and that makes you untouchable. The power of your peace is not in its silence alone. It's in the way you carry it, in how you walk through the world with a calm and steady confidence that speaks volumes. It's in the way you no longer seek approval or validation from anyone outside of yourself. You've found the strength to heal, to grow, and to move forward without holding onto past pain. And that in itself is the most powerful thing you can do. For many people, the temptation to hold onto anger or hurt after a breakup or difficult experience is strong. It feels easier to be angry, to lash out, or to hold grudges. But when you choose peace, you choose something far more empowering. You choose to take control of your own emotional state, to rise above the drama, and to let go of what no longer serves you. And this decision doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone around you. Your peace has a ripple effect. It encourages others to do the same, to let go of their own emotional baggage, and to find healing in the quiet spaces. For the man who once tried to define your worth, your peace becomes a reminder that no one else has the power to define who you are or how you feel. Your worth is inherent, and you've discovered that it's not tied to someone else's approval or love. Your peace is the loudest testament to your growth, and it echoes far beyond the confines of the relationship. And here's the key: you don't need to explain it to him. You don't need to convince him or anyone else that you're better off or that you're doing just fine. The fact that you've moved on peacefully speaks for itself. Your actions, your demeanor, your energy, these are the things that speak volumes. And even though he may not fully comprehend it at first, the peace you carry will continue to serve as a reminder to him of the strength, dignity, and grace you have found within yourself. It's the kind of power that doesn't need to be explained. It's simply felt, and that is where its true power lies. Moving on quietly, without fanfare or drama, is a form of silent success that often goes unnoticed at first, but carries a weight that few can ignore. It is the kind of success that doesn't need to be broadcasted, doesn't rely on anyone's approval, and doesn't require validation from those who might have once doubted your worth or your strength. Instead, it's the kind of success that builds slowly, steadily, and powerfully from within. The person who moves on with grace and peace is not seeking to prove anything. They've already proven it to themselves. Their quiet strength becomes a testimony to their growth, their resilience, and their ability to rise above the challenges that life throws at them. For the man who watches from the outside, this kind of quiet success can be the hardest to digest. He's used to seeing the emotional chaos, the messy breakups, the shouting matches, the emotional outbursts. He's used to seeing people react to pain, to suffering, to loss. But when he watches you walk away without a word of bitterness, without clinging to anger, without turning the situation into something ugly, it's as though you've taken away all the power that he once held over you. He may not fully understand it at first, but he can't ignore the impact it has. It forces him to reflect on the depth of your character, and it also forces him to confront something within himself. He has no control over you anymore. You've taken the power back, not through confrontation or revenge, but through your ability to move forward with dignity. This quiet success doesn't require an explanation. It doesn't need to be shouted from the rooftops. Instead, it is shown in your actions, in the way you hold yourself, in the way you live your life after the relationship. You've chosen peace, not as a way to get back at someone, but as a way to reclaim your own life. You've refused to let the past define you, and in doing so, you've begun to build a future that is entirely your own. The beauty of this quiet success lies in its resilience. It's easy to stay stuck in pain, to replay the hurt over and over, to stay fixated on what went wrong. But true strength comes when you choose to break free from that cycle. By letting go of the pain and choosing to heal quietly, you allow yourself the space to grow. You begin to rediscover your passions, your purpose, and your drive. You find new ways to enjoy life and experience happiness without needing anyone else to validate those experiences. This kind of success isn't flashy. It's not about showing the world how much you've overcome. It's about moving forward day by day in a way that reflects the peace and the healing you've found within yourself. For the man who sees you doing this, it can be a hard pill to swallow. He might have been waiting for you to crumble, for you to fall apart, for you to beg him to come back or to fight for the relationship. But instead, he watches as you move forward, quietly, peacefully, confidently, creating a life that is yours alone. This, in many ways, can be more painful for him than any confrontation or drama could ever be. Because in this moment, he realizes that your strength doesn't depend on him. You are never looking for him to complete you. You are always complete on your own, and your growth, your healing, and your success are all the proof he needs to see that. The man who watches you move on peacefully is not just witnessing your success in the traditional sense. He's witnessing your emotional and mental transformation. He's watching you create a new version of yourself, one that is stronger, wiser, and more self-assured than before, and the silence in which this transformation happens is deafening, because he knows deep down that this change wasn't caused by him. He wasn't the catalyst for your growth. Your growth came from within you, and that is a power that cannot be taken away. What makes this quiet success even more profound is that it is not about proving a point to him or anyone else. It's about proving to yourself that you can move forward even after pain, even after disappointment, even after loss. It's about learning to trust yourself again, to find your own strength, and to build the life you deserve. It's about setting the tone for your future and saying that you are worth more than being stuck in the past, clinging to something that no longer serves you. This kind of success is rooted in emotional intelligence, in knowing when to walk away and when to let go. It's about knowing that your peace is more important than any temporary victory, that your happiness is not dependent on anyone else's approval, and that your worth doesn't come from how others see you, but from how you see yourself. And when you finally understand this, you realize that this quiet success is the ultimate form of freedom. You've freed yourself from the need for validation, from the need to explain yourself, from the need to hold onto something that no longer fits your life. In the end, the quiet success of moving on peacefully is a reminder that you are your own best ally. You've learned to value yourself in ways that no one else can, and by doing so, you've created a life that is rich with possibility and growth. This success is not about making a grand statement. It's about living your life in a way that reflects the strength, resilience, and peace you've cultivated. And for the man who watches from afar, it serves as a powerful reminder that real strength doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be steady, consistent, and true. When a man witnesses you move on peacefully, he is left to confront a deep, often uncomfortable truth about his own life. The realization that your growth, your healing, and your ability to move forward without him is not only possible but flourishing. This moment can stir up feelings of insecurity and self-doubt, but more profoundly, it forces him to reflect on his own emotional and personal growth, or the lack thereof. You moving on peacefully signals to him that there is a path forward, a life after pain, and that moving on doesn't mean being cold or callous. It means evolving into someone better, someone who is no longer defined by the past. In his mind, he might have thought that the relationship's end would leave you shattered, that the absence of his presence in your life would create an emotional void that you couldn't fill. He might have imagined that without him, you'd struggle to regain your footing, that you would need him to complete the emotional puzzle of your life. But when he sees you standing tall, not just surviving but thriving, it challenges everything he thought he knew about you, and about himself. This realization is difficult for many men to face because it exposes their own vulnerabilities and insecurities. The truth is, his self-worth may have been tied to the idea that he was the one who could define the emotional rhythm of the relationship, that he had the ability to determine your happiness, your stability, and your direction. But when you move on peacefully, without clinging to any emotional baggage or seeking resolution from him, you reveal a powerful truth. Your worth was never dependent on him in the first place. This truth forces him to confront his own sense of inadequacy. He has to face the fact that, despite everything, you are capable of thriving on your own without him. In many ways, this challenge to his ego can be one of the most difficult things he experiences because it calls into question his role in your life. What's also hard for him to accept is that your growth isn't contingent on his acknowledgement. When people separate, there's often an expectation that one person will chase after the other, trying to make them feel seen or validated. For moving on, he may have expected that you would, at some point, express regret, longing, or even vulnerability in your attempt to reconnect or get closure. But by quietly and peacefully moving on, you've shown him that your growth doesn't require his permission, nor does it rely on his reaction. The path you've taken to peace and healing is yours alone, and the power you've found in yourself is not something he has the ability to influence. For him, seeing this might bring up feelings of envy or even jealousy, but these emotions only highlight his own struggles. While you are evolving, learning to cope and build a new life without him, he's stuck in the past, replaying the mistakes and missteps that led to the relationship's demise. He might not realize it at first, but your ability to move on peacefully is in many ways a reflection of your emotional maturity. It demonstrates that you are no longer held captive by past events, that you've chosen to heal without being defined by them. For him, this can serve as a stark reminder of how much work he still has to do on himself, something that may feel overwhelming or confronting. The hardest pill to swallow for him is not the fact that you've moved on, but that you've done so without needing him to feel complete. You've proven to him that your emotional well-being isn't something he can dictate, and that truth isn't easy for many men to accept, especially if they had become used to thinking that they were the ones who could control your emotional state, whether intentionally or unintentionally. The subtle message you've sent through your actions is powerful. You no longer need him to dictate how you feel about yourself or your future. The strength and clarity you've found is self-generated. It's a result of your own efforts to heal, grow, and step into the next phase of your life. This transformation can also serve as a wake-up call for him, encouraging him to take a long, hard look at his own life and his own emotional journey. He may begin to recognize the areas where he has fallen short, not just with you, but in his own development as a person. Watching you move on with grace might compel him to confront his own need for growth, self-reflection, and emotional independence. For some men, it's a painful realization that they've been stuck in patterns of emotional immaturity or insecurity. And seeing you flourish without them shines a light on how much more they need to evolve in order to reach the emotional peace and balance you have found. Ultimately, what's most powerful in this process is the message you send, not only to him, but also to yourself. Moving on peacefully is not about proving anything to anyone, nor is it about showing that you are better off without him. It's about recognizing your own worth and ability to heal, regardless of the circumstances. It's about understanding that your happiness, your future, and your peace are yours to shape, and that nothing and no one has the right to take that from you. For him, the realization that you have found peace without him is a testament to your strength, and it may be the very thing that motivates him to start the difficult work of healing and self-improvement. But more importantly, it shows you the power you have over your own life and the incredible capacity you possess for growth. By choosing peace and moving forward quietly, you are not only taking control of your own destiny, you're also teaching him, and perhaps others around you, the invaluable lesson that true strength comes from within, and that moving on peacefully is the greatest victory of all. In conclusion, the strength you demonstrate by moving on peacefully is a reflection of your resilience, your emotional maturity, and your unwavering commitment to your own growth. It is not about proving a point or seeking revenge. It's about reclaiming your peace, your life, and your future, and doing so without bitterness or anger. When a man sees you thrive in silence, without clinging to past pain or needing validation, he's confronted with a hard truth. Your happiness was never his responsibility, and your strength was never contingent upon him. It forces him and others around you to reckon with their own shortcomings, their own need for growth, and their own understanding of what it truly means to heal and move forward. This peaceful journey is not just about walking away from a relationship, but about stepping into your own power, healing with grace, and building a future that reflects who you truly are. It's a reminder that the most profound victories are often the quietest, and that your peace is a form of success that no one can take from you. You've chosen to live a life defined by your own terms, a life where you no longer allow the past to dictate your present or future. In doing so, you've shown not just him, but yourself, that true strength lies in your ability to let go, to heal, and to move forward with dignity and peace. So, when a man sees that you've moved on peacefully, understand that it is not a sign of weakness, but one of profound strength. It's a testament to your inner power, your growth, and your unwavering belief in yourself. It's a victory that echoes in the silence, louder than any words could ever be, and it marks the beginning of a new chapter, one where you continue to grow, heal, and thrive.